Hello, Internet family. This is Anjanette Potter, also known as Adam's Rib, and you are listening to Fridays Live at Midnight. So, today has been a day. If you have been listening to the news at all, you know that we got two pieces of news that weren't that great of news, but they were also news that we knew that we are not surprised to get. Both came out of the Supreme Court. So they struck down the whole student loan forgiveness. I personally, if I had my way, I think that college should be free. I think up to at least your bachelor's degree ought to be covered. That is my personal opinion on that. Because one of the campaigning promises was for college to be free. At least your undergrad. You know, we have one of our colleges here, Ohio Dominican, works with one of the schools here with a thing called the Charles program. And with the Charles program, I think it's like if you're a college prep, you can take some college credits while you're in high school. Which means if you graduate and decide to go to Ohio Dominican, you've at least completed some of your credits so you can graduate quicker and get your BA quicker. I don't know what people, and to be perfectly honest with you, I can remember having to tell someone, because, well, why do you guys get to have, your own colleges? Because your colleges didn't want us. Let's just be honest. Many of your colleges didn't want us. And a lot of the stuff that I've been hearing, even out of some Black conservatives here lately, and I can remember, like the beautiful thing about being 56 is that you've heard it all. You've heard it all. And for those of us that have mommies and aunties that we can go to,
help before you mess it up.
They've heard it all too. And will kindly tell you. They were saying that back when they were younger. So we already know, so some mindsets have been around for so long till it ain't even funny. Because you already know what you're going to hear. So I would have been shocked, especially with a conservative Supreme Court. I would have been shocked if either one of those things made it through. The other one, affirmative action, they've been coming for affirmative action for so long. And I saw, the interview with the Nigerian sister. I'm going to tell you something. I have been posting a thing on my Facebook. I may start posting on the rest of my social media as well. It's a quote by Zora Neale Hurston, and it basically says, if you are silent about your pain, they will murder you and swear you enjoyed it. That has been our experience as Black people and our experience as women. We just tend to have to go through that whole thing of someone dumbing down our experience and trying to make us feel like what we experienced wasn't real. That's something that we pretty much have to deal with as Black people and as women. So if you follow any of my social media, you remember that I did, when I was doing 28 or 29 days of Black feminism, I talked about a term called intersectionality. And intersectionality basically has to do with examining two different intersects where you are experiencing oppression or discrimination. So with Black women, we have to deal with racism, but we also have the fight against sexism. And oftentimes, I know I'm eating. We went out and did a run for midnight snack. So between the two, both are very frustrating. So the whole so they've been coming for affirmative action for as long as I can remember. Now, let me say, I watched 2 episodes of What's Happening. And like I said, I'm on this thing where I'm looking at a lot of my favorite sitcoms or old TV shows that I used to watch back in the day. And I'm looking at them from the perspective of where I am at the age that I am now. And the Norman Lear series, to me, even though there's controversy between he and the creator of Cooley High, over who used whose ideas, I don't have the idea that they need to squash it. I do think that there needs to be peace made between the two of them, simply because both of them are getting up there. I think that Mr. Eric, the guy who created Cooley High and worked with Mike Evans on Good Times, I think he's worthy of his flowers right now in the land of the living. If he deserves credit, I think that he should get credit. I think that he should also get any royalties that are due to him. These are landmark history-making shows. The blueprint has been made. We're never going to be able to repeat that point in a white girl, because they were a mostly Black school, so they had to have that representation. So they passed her over for her friend who was not as qualified for the position as she was. Then they did one on Shirley, and Shirley got picked for this office job that she was really not qualified for, and they wanted her for window dressing. Hire more than 10%. They are not going to get in trouble if more than 10% of the workforce is minority or women. Okay, I don't know what that was. Nobody has ever gotten in trouble for going over the quote minimum. But what made look at those episodes, what irritated me or made me cringe is I have never seen a black person be unqualified and still get in. Never have I. In all the years I did hair, I've seen plenty of unqualified white people. If it's a shop or a company that's mostly white, I've seen plenty of white people who were not qualified for a position get positions. I've also seen plenty of white people be promoted that really weren't qualified to manage. Never seen that with any minorities, because typically with minorities and with women, we kind of have to be better. We typically have to be better than the status quo in order for us to even get a job in the first place. So I'm always a bit interested. I always find it a bit humorous when someone tries to infer that we only got a job because we were black. I also saw the Asian guy that was, the catalyst for this. And all I could think was, you think you're messing up black people. And really, you're messing up your own people as well. When I have worked on High Street as a hairstylist. And here, OSU. And saw way more Asians than I saw black people. And I also thought it was interesting. I'm like a lot of black college students were saying, you have your mouth on black people. But there's all these legacies, like when you think about all the unfair advantages, like white privilege is a thing. White privilege is a thing. And there are so many privileges that, the mostly, legacies and different other stuff, people who get into college simply because their parents or grandparents went to that college. And I've just always been like, is it just me, or are we just being, bribed to look the other way? I just don't understand it. I also want to talk about this case. I think it's the man's name, Jeremy Brown. The young woman who First, they tried to say that she ordered her son to shoot this guy and kill him. Let me see here. And kill him because, you know, he beat her up. And I'm like, I saw the footage. And I'm like, in what world is it ever okay to come at a woman, to approach a woman and throw paws on her like you fighting a man? When did we become so broken that this is an okay thing? And I have a couple, you know, because, you know, the divest crowd went in. Because now we got footage of a black man being dusty toward a black woman. And it's not the only footage out there. There's been a lot of footage here lately, period, because of people in, you know, with smartphone technology. There has been a lot of, you know, footage been available. First of all, thank God for the young lady that did tape it, because she was able to prove some things that, you know, it for me, I remember following comedian D.L. Hughley's Facebook page. And I remember there being footage of a young teenage black girl being tackled by this huge white guy. Man had to outweigh her by at least a couple 100 pounds, because she was a teenage girl, and she was a small teenage girl. She was petite. Tackled her, roughed her up. And this one lady said something that stayed with me, and it really took me back to my Afrocentric Native Tongues day. And she said, I don't like this because it sends the message that black women are to be hit. That, in other words, the only way that you can, quote, handle a black woman is by being rougher. Now, I've been seeing a lot of footage of TikToks where black women are sharing their pain about the stuff that they go through in childbirth, and how you have people who don't believe we feel pain the same, and or think that we are, you know, well, we're tough. We can take a licking and keep ticking. We take lickers and keep ticking because we've had no choice. Okay, there's a difference between being thick-skinned and being able, you know, and having a high tolerance for pain, and having no choice because people don't believe you when you say you're in pain. There's a big difference between the two. And I believe in that particular myth about pretty much every myth about black people pretty much goes back to the plantation. But this one is very tiresome. This one is very worrisome, because it goes all the way back to the plantation, and it really, you know, messes with our safety. Okay, anytime a verbal exchange leads to a man assaulting you, there's a problem. There's a problem. And these stereotypes, these tropes, lead to some serious threats against our safety. So I can remember having a few incidents where I got into very heated exchanges with white men. So before you know it, I think the thing that is so upsetting about this involving a black man is because we tend to expect a little bit more out of each other, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we're a community. We are a community. We pretty much kind of need each other to survive to a degree. We're in this thing together. We're in this thing called being black together. And it is very, 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 very upsetting. I'm not going to call this fool no king. It is very upsetting to watch a sister get pumped. I don't even like to see a man hit his wife. I don't even like to see a man hit a woman that he's romantically involved with, even though that's what we usually associate domestic violence with. But to hear a man, and I've had some run-ins with men of all colors, because folks that don't know how to act come at every color. But what's really disheartening is the number of people that came forward and tried to act like she brought it on herself for being aggressive. And I'm a little tired of that trope too. There is no woman that, unless she was putting her hands on him first, and I don't even like men to hit women if women are hitting them first. Because most of the tape footage that you see, the woman's punches aren't landing that hard. You know, men have more upper body strength, and it's just, and y'all work out more and do sports and all this other stuff. You know, it's not an even battle all the time. It really isn't. So, but what's even worse is the amount of men that basically try to. I was looking at another content creator's coverage of the story, and she showed some of the comments that she saw showing up in response to the video. And the number of black men that felt like sisters collecting hits should comes with the territory. You know, she ain't get hit no harder than the rest of us have gotten hit by men that we've been involved with. And I'm like, hitting us shouldn't be happening at all. It shouldn't have been happening at all. And it is very hurtful that this happened. I am glad that her son was not, I'm glad that her son was not tried and sent to jail for murder, because really he was sticking up for his mom. They found out that she did not order him to, that there was no, evidence that she told him to shoot this guy. As much as I hate to say it, let me say this. I feel like this is something he brought on himself. There are times where you need to think about your actions. There are times when you need to think about your actions. I remember when the movie The Burning Bed came out, and someone made up a rap about the burning bed, and basically a warning to all the fellas, to watch out, because now they can get away with lighting your bed. And I think about that now as a 56-year-old grown woman that then had some experiences of my own, and I was like, when do we get to the point where we stop normalizing violence in a relationship? Because it's something that should not be happening. It's something that shouldn't happen. It's something that shouldn't be normal. It's something that should not be a thing that we go through. And the sad thing is the number of churches that seem to be on board. like I said before, if you look through the Bible, read the Bible, you will not see any evidence of the Christian, Judeo-Christian concept of God supporting domestic violence as much as many Christian churches and cults seem to support it. So I'm going to research this week and find out why there seems to be such a link between religion and domestic violence or violence against women. Really tired now that we're in 2023 and people are still losing their life. There's no reason for a traffic stop, just like there's no reason for a traffic stop to lead to murder, just like there's no reason for an argument in a hot dog stand to result in a woman being pummeled. I was thinking this week, I have been thinking and praying, and I was talking about supernatural warfare. So people kind of crack me up because, so supernatural warfare, I've talked about this before, but I'll talk about it, some more, is when you are trying to live for God and you are getting all this opposing energy. Let's say you join your church's choir, and this has happened to me and some people that I know of. You decide to join the choir, and all of a sudden you're scheduled to work on the night of rehearsals. Or you have something else that you're trying to do. Let's say you decided to, stop fornicating. And all of a sudden you start getting all these phone numbers or people flirting with you all of a sudden, and they're not the one. At first you think, woo, God has finally answered my prayers and sent me my Boaz. And then, you like, no, that ain't what this is. And you start getting, especially when you start getting what I call a deluge. You start getting phone numbers. Like every 3 blocks you meet a man, right? Okay, when you're trying to live for God and Satan is basically throwing out these scuds, throwing out, things that are meant to tempt you back into whatever it is you're trying not to do. Let's say you decided to stop smoking weed. And all of a sudden you get invited to this party and free weed for everybody. Stuff like that. But many times you see situations where somebody has opened up a big old door to the devil and then act surprised that Satan came. Like, you opened up that door, now Satan done came to play, and he running and playing. That's how I feel with some of these race relations sometimes, where people open up a door, by way of racism, and then when things get too hot, all of a sudden everybody wants to, oh my God, why is this happening? Well, you made a racist statement or opened up a door, or a man, does something to a woman, and that's how I feel about the guy who, punched this woman. You went and opened up that door by getting into an argument with a woman and then deciding to beat up on her. And now another black man has lost his life. How about don't punch women? How about don't open up the door? It doesn't make you more manly to practice violence against the women in your community. If anything, it makes you less of a man, because you don't, why do all that? When it's really not necessary. But it happens. But it happens. And people act like that, there are ways, and I'm going to talk about this on Monday as well. There are ways that you can open up doors to the enemy. And once you open up those doors, it's almost like now you got to find a way to, you got to find, like, you know how when you have a kitchen fire, you got to find a piece of cloth to kind of pat it down and try to get it back under control. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of people doing in the spirit realm. They're opening up doors, and now you have this big fire that you're trying to put out. I know I'm looking at my TV, I can see me. And you have this big fire that you're trying to put out that you opened up that door on. So let me see here. So it says White House student loan forgiveness. So I'm gonna go. So it says Biden offers alternative student debt relief plan that would remove. I ain't seen the rest of it. So between now and Wednesday, I'll be able to find more. Do a little more research over the weekend and find out what if this is a new development, past what we've heard today. But I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I thought with whatever I had, with what all I had to talk about, that would be on here a little while longer. But I'm not, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'd rather have quality than quantity. But I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I just wanted to go ahead and make good, honor my word and come on here and, have this discussion. I will be back on here Monday evening at midnight to discuss some more of these issues. I'm still right now in the vein of spiritual abuse. Anytime there is abuse in a church, you know that a door has been opened to the enemy. Anytime you are experiencing abuse in a church, know that a door has been opened. Know that a door has been opened to the enemy. Whether it's a pastor that is creating sexual misconduct, or, one of the guys on the pews, regular guy, fornicating and committing adultery. Anytime that you are experiencing anything, any type of abuse, is Satan at work. A door has been opened. And like I said before, you let that demon out and let him out to play, and he's doing what demons do. Wreaking havoc. But I will talk a little bit more about this this coming Monday. I'm going to go enjoy my weekend, and I expect for you to enjoy yours too. Have a good one. Enjoy your family. If you are trying to travel, hopefully, you won't have too many troubles, going out of town or whatever. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your holiday wherever you decide to spend it. And I will see you guys Monday evening. Be blessed.